Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai C.G. Part 2, Chapter 10. I think it must have been the first time since his arrival on Phoenix Mountain that Four Eyes actually beamed at anyone with deep contentment. It was hot, his face was dripping with perspiration, and his glasses kept slithering down his small nose. While he pored over the pieces of paper stained with salt, liquor, and lamp oil, on which we had noted down the old Miller's 18 songs, Luo and I lay sprawled on his bed in our coats and shoes. We were dead tired. We had spent most of the night tromping across the mountain, and after crossing the bamboo forest, the sounds of invisible wild animals had accompanied us from afar until dawn. Suddenly the smile faded from Four Eyes' face, making way for a scowl. "Bloody hell! All you've got here is a load of smutty rhymes," he barked. His voice had the sharp edge of an army commander. I was taken aback by his outburst, but said nothing. All we wanted was for him to lend us a couple of books in return for our exertions. "You said you wanted authentic mountain songs," Luo reminded him tensely. "Ye God, so I did. And I also told you I wanted uplifting lyrics with an undertone of romantic realism." As he spoke, Four Eyes held up one of the pages between finger and thumb and waved it in our faces. The crackle of paper blended with his scolding, schoolmasterly tone. "What is it with you two? Always going for stuff that's forbidden." "Well, don't exaggerate," Luo said. "You think I'm exaggerating? You want me to show this to the commune authorities? Your old Miller would be accused of spreading erotic material. He might even go to prison. I'm serious." Suddenly I hated him, but I didn't show it. It was better to wait until he had kept his promise to lend us more books. "Go on, then. Tell tales on the old man," Luo said. "I thought he was great. His songs, his voice, his weird rippling stomach, all the things he told us. I'm going back there so I can give him some money for his kindness." Sitting on the edge of the bed, Four Eyes swung his skinny legs up the table and resumed reading our notes. "How could you waste all that precious time writing down this drivel? Can't believe it. Do you seriously think an official journal would even consider publishing this shit? That they'd give me a job on the strength of this? You must be out of your minds." The change he had undergone since receiving his mother's letter was truly remarkable. A few days before, it would have been unthinkable for him to snap at us like this. I hadn't suspected that a tiny glimmer of hope for the future could transform someone so utterly. He was insanely arrogant, and his voice seethed with longing and hatred. There was not the slightest mention of the books he was supposed to lend us. He jumped up, scattering our notes on the bed, went to the kitchen. You could hear him chopping vegetables while he grumbled away. "I suggest you collect all your papers and put them away in your pockets, or better still, burn them in the stove right away. I don't want any of that forbidden stuff lying around, least of all on my bed." Luo joined him in the kitchen. "Give us a couple of books and we'll go." "What books?" I heard Four Eyes whine while he went on chopping the cabbages and turnips. "The books you promised us." "You think I'm crazy or what? All you brought me is this useless garbage, which will only get me into trouble. You've got the cheek to pretend that they're—" His voice stopped and he stormed into the room again, still holding his chopping knife. He grabbed the papers from the bed and ran to the window to read them over once more by the light of the early sun. "Good God, I'm saved," he cried. "All I need to do is make a few alterations. I can add the right words here and there and can cut out the offending ones. Dimwits, that's what you are. At least I can think straight, which is more than I can say for the pair of you." Without more ado, he proceeded to read out his adapted, or rather skewed, version of the first song. "Tell me, little Burgess lice, what do they fear? They fear the boiling wave of the proletariat." I leaped to my feet and lunged at him. In my indignation, all I wanted was to snatch the papers from his grasp. But as I flailed my arms, I involuntarily punched him on the jaw, which sent him reeling. The back of his head crashed against the wall. The knife fell from his hand, and his nose started to bleed. I tried to get hold of our notes so that I could tear them up into little bits and stuff them into his mouth, but he held on to them tight. I hadn't been in a fight of any kind for such a long time that I got quite carried away, and for several minutes I lost track of what was happening. I noted that his mouth was wide open, but didn't hear what he was shouting. Came to my senses again outside. Luo and I were sitting by the wayside at the foot of the boulder. Luo stabbed his finger at my Mao-style jacket, which was stained with Four Eyes' blood. "You look like a hero in a war movie," he told me. Well, no more Balzac for the time being.